Testing, does it work? Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, hard to go right after two of the greatest figures on the internet, but I'll do my best. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm Nico Gallardo. I'm the community lead at Octant, and today I'm going to talk about funding Ethereum-aligned ecosystems. I'm going to tell you a bit of the history of some experiments that we did that led to what we're building now that should help with this mission. And at Octant, what we call Octant V1 was an experiment where we staked 100,000 ETH provided by the Golem Foundation. And the yield that was generated through this staking was split in three. One to reward GLM lockers, the second to a matching fund to fund public goods, and the third for operations and growth of the Octant project. To visualize a little bit better how this works, we have first the Golem Foundation staking the Ethereum, and in the Octant app, what happens is that the staking rewards that are produced, they are distributed to Octant users that we defined as the token holders and lockers of the GLM token. And the other part, as I mentioned, goes to this matching fund. The users then can decide to withdraw their Ethereum rewards to their wallets, or they can use them to donate to the projects that participate in our funding rounds, which will then proportionally receive funds from the matching fund. Who here knows what quadratic funding is? Can you raise your hands? Okay, a few of you. Basically, the way that the matching fund is distributed uses quadratic funding. And what that basically means is that the projects that receive the largest amount of donations, which can be seen as votes, from the majority of the voters receive a largest amount of money versus the projects that receive maybe an equal amount of money from donations, but from a lower quantity of people. So that's how we've distributed funds across 8 epochs. That's how we call the funding rounds. And each epoch has between 20 and 30 projects. And we have in total funded 86 unique projects across primarily the Ethereum ecosystem, but also open source, privacy, and even climate round. We've funded in total more than 8 million with this method and have rewarded our users, our GLM lockers, with almost 1,000 ETH. Some of the projects that have received funding and continuously from us, I see Chiki from Protocol Guild here, being recurring participants, but also L2Beta, so some people here from that project as well. Ethereum Cat Herders, Hypercerts, Revoke Cash, Rotkey, Funding the Commons, ETH Staker, really a bunch of projects that continuously come back. And as you can see, the vast majority of them are quite Ethereum aligned or help progress Ethereum. So we thought, oh, hey, okay, we're doing quite a good job at funding Ethereum. How can we make this even more sustainable? But even more, how can we kind of put this into a sort of protocol so that other ecosystems can apply our learnings and do the same for their own ecosystems? So we saw a big opportunity similar to the Golem Foundation that had all these ETH sitting idle on their treasury. There's really a lot of projects in our ecosystem that have a bunch of funds just sitting on their treasuries or a bunch of their own tokens sitting on their treasuries. Most of them use these tokens to fund grants, which is rather inefficiently, not only because the process is not great, but also because they keep bleeding this treasury in order to fund their ecosystems. So the growth stalls while funding stays unsustainable. On the other hand, we have a wide variety of both allocation mechanisms like quadratic funding, the one I mentioned, or conviction voting, a bunch of different allocation mechanisms that are being built nowadays, and DeFi strategies that help us generate yield. And maybe as a side note, there's also the flag of Ethereum alignment being waved around without any actual proof, or there's a lot of debate nowadays about who is actually Ethereum aligned and who's not. So what we saw the opportunity to unlock is to put these idle treasuries to work for their own ecosystems without exhausting them. This we do the same way that we did with the Golden Foundation funds, by leveraging yield-generating strategies and funding grant programs. And by doing that, we empower the community through different allocations mechanisms that I just mentioned. All these while demonstrating Ethereum alignment by funding what we call the ESF, the Ethereum Sustainability Fund. So what we're trying to achieve there, what we're building, is a protocol that we call it an ecosystem growth engine. That's what's going to be Octant or Octant v2. And here is how the value flow would work roughly for a project with a token. They would stake their tokens into the protocol, generate yield. This yield is allocated by the token holders through one of the mechanisms that I mentioned. Then the projects that receive this funding through their grants programs create value for the ecosystem, which in return increases the value of the entire project itself, which goes back to step one, where like the yield that's generated is a lot more valuable, and then we see this positive feedback loop that keeps growing for the project. And then to dive a little bit deeper into what I talked, the Ethereum Sustainability Fund, at least 5% of the projects that participate in the Octant protocol will 5% of the yield will go to the ESF. This will embody the project commitment to Ethereum alignment, and at the same time, they will receive governance rights as a project to decide where the Ethereum Sustainability Fund is allocated. Of course, the goal of this fund is to fund Ethereum goods, maybe like narrowing down the public goods vision into Ethereum specific things. So to give a bit of a summary of what we are doing at Octant is connecting capital accumulation mechanisms like any DeFi, staking, yield generating strategies with capital allocation like quadratic funding, conviction voting, all these different methods. And we aim to engage community members to shape their own ecosystem growth, because they should know best how to do this. And projects with a token can do this through their token by giving it another utility, let's say, and at the same time use these governance rights to direct the yield that's generated through the DeFi protocols. So yeah, this is it basically. Capital formation and capital allocation joined together in a protocol to achieve sustainable growth for any ecosystem, sprinkled with a little bit of Ethereum alignment. And to almost wrap up, I wanted to make an ask for anybody who's building things, infrastructure, tooling, or anything that's helping Ethereum. We currently have Epoch open for you to apply and receive some funding. You can scan this QR code and send me a DM, and we'll point you in the right direction of where you can apply. But also for the protocol that I just mentioned, that's kind of like the evolution of these epochs that we're running. We're looking for ecosystems who want to use this mechanism to more efficiently grow and allocate the funding that's generated through the yield. And at the same time, looking for regions who help us identify cool allocation mechanisms, and degens who help us identify good DeFi yield-generating strategies. And we're building a community of devs that help us build the Octant protocol as well. So thank you so much.